The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the presentation UltraRail, the Ultimate Value in Rooftop Solar, brought to you by AE Solar. Before we begin, if you're experiencing any technical difficulties, please notify me by typing in your question in the question pane of your control panel on the right side of your screen and click send. We will have a question and answer session following the presentation. You're welcome to submit your question at any point during the webinar, and we will do our best to answer as many possible questions after the presentation. There will be a brief survey that will pop up in a new window immediately following the webinar. Please take a couple of minutes to complete it, and we will email you a copy of the presentation. If there are no questions, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our presenter today, Andrew Wickham with Snap and Rack. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you.
Thanks, Caitlin. Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew Wickham. I am the Manager of Customer Experience over here at Snap and Rack, in charge of our marketing and applications engineering organizations. Today, we're going to be talking about the UltraRail system, our newest system out there on the market. All right, so looking at an agenda for today's presentation, going to give you a little bit of a background about Snap and Rack, an overview of all residential rooftop mounting systems, and then kind of looking at railed systems versus rail-less systems and what some of those benefits are for rail-based systems and key features that set them apart. Then diving into our own solutions, the Snap and Rack solutions, being Series 100 and this new UltraRail system, and then some of the cool, great stuff about UltraRail that I think you're all really going to enjoy. So a little bit of history about Snap and Rack. Snap and Rack was not started as its own company originally. It was actually started by REC Solar back in 2007. They were using some of the existing products on the market and getting pretty fed up with what a hassle it was to install solar on the roofs, and they thought there must be a better way. So they took a couple of their engineers, who are both actually still with our company today, and created a racking design division to start designing the Snap and Rack product. Eventually, that division, once it came out with the Series 100 system, we started to sell it out through AE Solar and continue to do so today. Recently, as of last year, we've released our UltraRail product, our tile replacement, and our RL solutions, and in 2016, we crossed the 1 gigawatt threshold. So been designing and improving on solar mounting for a long time. So Snap and Rack mission, really our goal is to provide the best quality product on the rooftop that's going to reduce labor and improve productivity while making sure that it lasts the life of the system. So let's dive into the meat of this, talking about types of residential solar mounting systems. Most of you have probably seen your standard rail-based systems before. That's what our Series 100 system is. And you've probably seen some of the rail-less systems out there on the market. One of the famous ones was Zep Solar that was acquired by Solar City. We have our own RL system. And those are really the two main differentiators when you're talking about the general type of system on the residential rooftop. Now, there's definitely subcategories of those, and that's where I put on here light rail solutions. So a little bit lighter duty rail that still handles great in most load conditions, but allows you to drive down the cost of the system a little bit more for the install. So let's take a look at those standard rail-based systems. They've been around a long time. The original solar mounting on a roof was probably using some unistrut and some clamps clamping the modules down to it. They're really intuitive. If you go from one rail-based system to the next, it's usually pretty easy for installers to get the hang of it because of the simplicity of how everything goes together. What's great about these is there's attachments for pretty much every roof type you could possibly come across, and the clamps usually can fit any size module One thing to note is that the bonding in a rail-based system is integrated throughout the row, but you do have to jump between rows of modules, as opposed to with a rail-less system. There's actually integrated bonding throughout the array, so there's no need for jumpers, as there is bonding clips within the attachment in a row as well as within each column. So rail-less systems are somewhat new. You're still seeing a lot of people in the industry innovate with them and find ways to improve them, because not having those rails to lean on or outline your array and everything, and just having the mounts makes it definitely a little bit tougher as far as the layout and install process. One thing to note with rail-less systems is they typically work with a specific module height. In order to get that sleeving and clamping mechanism, they're usually height specific, so you have to order based on which type of module you're using. So if we look at the install process with each of these systems, with rail-based systems, you're installing your mounts and then your rails, and then you're laying down your modules horizontally on the rails and clamping on the sides of them. Whereas with our RL system and with rail-less systems, you're installing from the bottom up as you sleeve the bottom of the module into the bottom row of mounts, and then you clamp on the top side, and then that clamping on the top side provides a sleeve for the next row of mounts. So biggest benefits of rail-based solutions: easy to learn, easy to teach, great for new installers, as you're onboarding people and trying to get them up to speed with installing solar. One of the reasons for this is that the process actually has stages. You lay out your array, you attach your roof attachments, then you attach your rail to your roof attachments, then you attach your modules to the rail after putting on any power electronics necessary. It's very easy to break it down into these separate stages, which makes it easier to teach. With the Snap and Rack systems, you're going to get single tool installation. We were the original innovator that made it so it's a 1/2-inch socket for every single bolt within our system, and then also with our snap-in channel nuts for all of our clamps as well as accessories. So up until this point, when we'd say choosing the right rail for the job, there's only really been one choice with the Snap and Rack Series 100. It's a heavy-duty, strong rail that works all over the country in any sort of wind or snow load condition. But now there's the choice of going with lighter duty rail, which is going to cost you less money because it's less material, and if it doesn't affect your attachment spacing or you're in a very low load region, it's probably the route to go. Looking at that Series 100 solution, the channel nut was the main innovator of it, that snaps into both that side and top channel of that rail. With that channel nut that also attaches to the mid clamps and end clamps, makes it really intuitive when you're explaining this to people up on the roof. It had 2 full channels on the top and side that you can run your wires and mount accessories. So yeah. So as we were going about business, we started to take a look at the way the market was trending, and realizing that really everything within residential solar is driving down on cost. The lower cost that an installer can get a system on a homeowner's roof, the more homeowners that are going to purchase solar from them. And the lower cost that installer can get modules and racking, etc., the larger addressable market they're going to have for getting solar up on the rooftop. So as we saw kind of this increased pressure to drive down costs on the roof, we thought, we need to come up with a solution that's a little bit more affordable for our customers. And that's where we just started developing Ultra Rail. We were listening to customers complaining that they didn't need a rail that was as strong as Series 100, and that they needed something that was lower cost. So we set out to develop it. And what was really neat about this project is that not only did we design something that was lower cost, but we were able to actually add features in to make it an easier install system, which I'll get into on some of the following slides. So it's a smaller rail profile, but as you can see, essentially we eliminated the side channel of the Series 100 and made it only have the top channel, so you still have all the features that are so awesome about Series 100. So here's looking at the mounting solution for Ultra Rail. If you look here, we're gone with the L-foot base that we used to have. So instead of having to attach a base, then attach a flashing, then attach a mount, it is as simple as lagging the mount down through the flashing with a single fastener. You can see this snap-in bracket here. That's how the Ultra Rail attaches. It's great once you see it in person and you see how easily it all snaps together. That all comes pre-assembled, that bracket, so you're not having to worry about dealing with springs flying around and everything. The rail just easily snaps into place and then you secure it. So along that lines, you can kind of see here how the rail snaps in. There's really nothing to it. It's not like you have to loosen up that fastener. Once you get it in place, you have full vertical leveling adjustability as well as east to west adjustability while it's sitting in the snap-in bracket. And then once you have everything put together, same single tool installation, you just can sink it down with a 1/2 inch socket. So, thing that everybody loves about Snap-in Rack, wire management. We have our larger rail channel for running wires within that channel. You got the snap-in retention clips for keeping the wires and cables in the channel, and then we also have our universal wire clamps and our junction boxes that all snap in to our rail channel. That's all still applicable with the Ultra Rail system. So any accessory that you liked previously using Series 100, you'll now still be able to use when you use Ultra Rail. So the big question is, what's the major difference in spans and strength of the rail? So we put together this slide. This is obviously only one bin section of our structural engineering, but it can kind of give you an idea. The big thing is Ultra Rail cannot reach 8 or 10 foot spans as Series 100 could in low load regions. However, from most of the research we've done, there aren't too many people using 8-foot spans and almost no one using 10-foot spans because there aren't too many jurisdictions that allow that. So you can see here that as far as 6-foot spans, Ultra Rail can still be used in a lot of cases. And then if you're in a region where you're using 4-foot spans already with Series 100, the Ultra Rail is going to be pretty much equal, except for when you get to that 80 PSF snow load. So some of the features of a rail-based solution is really the fact that there's attachments for all different roof types. Here we've got an assortment of our tile, metal roof, standoff attachments that we offer, and then it can work with both portrait and landscape orientation modules and has all that leveling right there in the L-foot no matter what the roof type is. We dive a little bit more into the ceiling of our new umbrella technology Ultra Rail flash to L-foot kit. You can see here in the bottom image that the flashing actually has this volcano feature that goes up inside through the bottom of the L-foot inside this umbrella washer and helps provide a full lifelong seal. It actually comes with a rubber gasket installed, but we've passed all UL wind-driven rain tests just with the metal-to-metal seal of this umbrella technology. So really great as far as having something that you know is going to prevent any sort of leakage or water damage throughout the life of the system. Metal roof attachments, if you've used our Series 100 system, these should be familiar to you. We've got our metal roof base, which is great for flat surfaces on metal roofs. Has a simple, you lag it down and then just tighten on the top cap. We've got our regular base and wide base standing seam attachments that just clamp onto standing seams, and then we have our corrugated straddle block, which is great for your corrugated metal roofs. These are now all available with the attached ultra rail bracket to work with ultra rail. As far as tile solutions, our new tile replacement solution you can see here, really beautiful aesthetic as far as mounting on tile roofs, but the main benefits are really around the labor and install process. If you look at, some of the issues with tile hooks is sometimes they don't fit properly. You have to grind tiles with standoffs. You're always cutting and drilling tiles. It's a really time-consuming process. And then you got to think about the safety of everybody up on the roof. All that dust from grinding tiles can lead to a lot of bad diseases, and really isn't something that, well, OSHA doesn't even allow for people to grind and cut tiles without a control plan and making sure that they have the proper cutting equipment with an integrated water delivery system. So that's the safety aspect. But then when we talk about the money aspect, broken tiles end up costing companies a lot of money because you're having to mobilize a truck and someone to run to a boneyard and hopefully find the right tile to replace a tile that was broken on the roof. Well, with tile replacements, you're completely replacing that tile, and that's giving you an extra tile in case you break any others on the roof. So it's eliminating all of that time and labor, having to source additional tiles as well as install replacements for those broken tiles, because now you're going to have a bunch of those with you on the job. In our analysis, broken tiles can contribute up to 3.5 cents a watt as far as the installations on tile roofs when not using a tile replacement system. So with our tile replacement, you're eliminating all that grinding and cutting. You're getting that net positive tile consumption and saving labor. You can see the components here a little bit, the base, riser, and L-foot assembly, as well as the flashing. Diving in a little deeper, the flashing is made out of a dead soft aluminum, so it's actually really easily pliable and bendable to fit on, in different situations where you might have some funky tile types. Everything as far as the standoff shaft just slides easily into that base. The threaded stud is all pre-attached, and because that stud's poking out, it actually makes it easier to locate and find it when you're putting the tile replacement flashing on. And then as far as the pricing, this product ends up being actually pretty similar to our universal tile hook pricing. And as far as sealing, it's using that same umbrella technology that we showed you with the composition shingle. Here's kind of one of the things to note about the tile replacements is we do have 3 different types: flat tile, S tile, and W tile. Just based on packaging, as I'm sure you can imagine, trying to nest the flashings, it makes it pretty near impossible and hard to combine the hardware kit and flashing into the same box and also keep everything straight, as opposed to, getting those flashings bent out of shape before they even arrive. So when you do order these parts, just note that the flashing and hardware kit are separate part numbers, and the salesperson you're working with should help you able to walk you through that. So here's a great example of the Ultra Rail system still being able to utilize all those wire management accessories that we have. Going from the top, you've got our new Junction Box XL. Got a wire retention clip in there holding some of the wires down, our universal wire clamp, our ground lug, and then MLP device, probably a microinverter using our MLP attachment kit. Why is wire management important? Well, we've got some pictures here that kind of sum it up. Essentially, composition shingle roofs are sandpaper, and tiles aren't too far from it. So you really don't want your wires and cables to be rubbing along those roofs. They're going to wear out, then you're going to have shorts and ground faults. So cable ties aren't really a great solution. That's what you have to use with many other manufacturers' rails. And having our rail channel really allows you to avoid that and keep the wires safe so that they're going to last the life of the system. The next big part is the aesthetics. We were the original company to come out with our universal end clamp, which is an invisible end clamp that renders the entire racking system hidden under the array, since it can be flush with the end. We even have a cutting tool to make sure the rails cut flush. So, the most beautiful racking system is the one you can't see, so you can just enjoy your beautiful solar modules up on your roof. So not only that, we also have our mid clamps and end clamps and rails that can match your black module frames as well as your silver ones. We have some additional aesthetic options. A couple of years ago, we came out with our array skirt that has brackets that just snap to the front of the module, and then you just snap the skirt onto those brackets. Very simple. It's not structural. You just add it on at the end. This is great if you've got some homeowners that really want a skirt because their neighbor has one. Well, we have that as an option to put on a system, and it just provides a nice, clean, finished look. So when we look at what system's right for your business, the big first question to ask is, are you installing on only composition shingle roofs? If that's the case, then RL could be a good option for you. That's the big limitation with rail-less systems, is the types of roofs they can work with. Then the next question between Ultra Rail and Series 100 is, do you really need that side channel or not? If you feel that you really have a lot of value for that side channel, then Series 100 has it. And then also, are you installing with 8-10-foot spans? If you're going in the 4 to 6 foot span range anyways, you're probably going to be safe with Ultra Rail, and it's probably going to be the best bang for your buck as far as the system and the features it provides with the new snap-in brackets and everything. Next, I'm going to take you guys on a little teaser journey of what we have coming soon. So right now we're in development of a new heavier duty Ultra Rail. We've gotten such great feedback on that snap-in bracket that we want to create the same user experience, but with something that can work in higher load conditions. So you can see that here, and also much easier to use splice than our Series 100 system. These are actually launching within the next couple of weeks, is our Ultra Rail tilt kits and standoffs. So you've got up to 30 degrees of tilt. One thing is, this solution is actually simpler and easier than our Series 100 system, just because of the way the Ultra Rail brackets work and mounting those rails horizontally. You don't have the same kind of 3 different access mount that you had before. And we are going to be coming out with some tile hooks specifically for Ultra Rail that come with those brackets pre-attached. So if you don't want to move to the tile replacement solution for some reason, we want to make sure that we still have product available for you that you do want to use. And we know that a lot of people love tile hooks, so we will be having Ultra Rail tile hooks available shortly. With that, please follow us on social media through LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff, and YouTube. We're starting to produce more videos this year as far as content's concerned, with training and information. And then we've got a great team of 6 applications engineers and field trainers on staff at all times. So if you guys ever have any questions about anything more specific, please don't hesitate to email or call us. You're not going to get some tech support person from a third world country. It's all actual trained engineers here in house. So always here to be able to be at your service. And with that, open it up for questions and turn it back over to Caitlin.
Perfect. Thank you, Andrew. So I'd like to go ahead and start off the question and answer session now. If you have a question, please submit it through the question pane located on your control panel. We will try to answer as many questions as possible. You can always exit the webinar at any time during or following the question and answer session. There'll be a survey that will pop up in a new window once the webinar ends. And if you can go ahead and give us your feedback, I will send out the presentation to you. So I'd like to go ahead and start off with the first question here from Sam. When driving a lag screw into the roof, does the L-foot spin If it does, what's the recommended course of action to keep the L feet straight with each other, making them easy to set the rail into?
In my experience, I haven't seen the L-foot spin at all. It's pretty tight as far as the tolerances because what happens is the L-foot is actually sitting on that volcano cone. Let me go back a few slides really quick. And then it just ends up tightening down on it. The best course of action I would say to definitely avoid that is just to hold the bracket with your other hand as you're tightening it down. But I have not, in my experience or any of our team's experience, had issues with the L-foot spinning. It just tightens down really easily, and if you do feel it start to spin, you can just hold it in place with your opposite hand.
Okay, and then Sunny is wondering, will the UR60 be available this year?
Yes. It's still in development right now. We're just finalizing some of the designs around the splice issue. So I would expect July, August at the latest.
Perfect. Ryan is asking, will the skirt work with the UltraRail system, and or can it be mounted to the long edge of the panel?
So the skirt is always mounted to the panel. It can be mounted to the long or short edge. So it works. It's actually system agnostic. You could install our skirt on someone else's system because it's got a bracket that actually attaches on the inside lip of the module. And then once that's tightened, the skirt just snaps onto that bracket. So it doesn't touch the rail at all. It's just it's purely touching the module. So it should work on any side of the system and with any system.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you, Andrew. That does conclude our question and answer portion of the webinar. I want to go ahead and thank you all for joining us for the presentation. Excuse me, sorry. You can check out our website for more training opportunities with AE Solar. Have a great weekend, and thank you as always for doing business with AE Solar.
Thank you, Caitlin.